The Day Mark Couldn't Hold It In, a co-author corner original, workplace musical nobody asked for. Act 1. The Office of Eternal Beige. Mark had worked at Data Nest Solutions for 10 years. 10 years. To celebrate this milestone of loyalty, dedication, and slowly dissolving dreams, HR gifted him a $25 coupon to Old Country Chowdown Buffet, a place whose mashed potatoes had the same texture and emotional energy as the wallpaper, both unchanged since 1956, and a plastic trophy that said Superstar Employee in Comic Sans, which felt like an insult disguised as a compliment, disguised as a clearance rack mistake. The office itself was aggressively normal. Cubicles arranged like a corn maze designed by someone who hated joy. Fluorescent lights flickering like they were trying to Morse code help. A break room fridge that contained yogurt older than several interns. Mark blended in so well, he was practically part of the carpet pattern. But today, something was different. He had just returned from a 3-day weekend in Vegas with his best friend Sarah, and for the first time in his life, he'd seen a cabaret. Sequins, spotlights, people singing like their souls were on fire. A world where being too much was exactly enough. And now, he was back in his cubicle, surrounded by beige, and the silence felt like a punishment. Act 2. The water cooler incident. Carol, the office's resident gossip engine, was at the water cooler, ranting about the printer again. It jammed, again. I swear this thing hates me. Everyone knew why. Carol always printed from tray 2, and tray 2 was the devil's tray. It hadn't fed paper correctly since the Bush administration. Mark walked by, humming the tune from the cabaret under his breath. He felt lighter, looser, like his bones had rhythm now. He approached the printer, did a tiny sidestep, a little theatrical flourish he absolutely did not mean to do, switched to tray 1, hit print, and retrieved Carol's document with a flourish that would have made a stage manager proud. He handed it to her. Carol blinked. Thanks? You're welcome, Mark replied in a sing-song voice that made both of them uncomfortable. He walked away quickly, but inside him, something glowed. Act 3. The meeting. The monthly goals meeting was the same as always. Charts, graphs, numbers. The slow death of hope. But Mark wasn't listening. He was thinking about the cabaret. The lights, the music, the feeling of being alive. Suddenly, his manager asked, Mark, thoughts on last month's productivity metrics? Mark opened his mouth, and what came out was not normal. It was the kind of speech heroes give in Act 2 of a musical, the moment the orchestra swells and the protagonists realize they're destined for greatness. We must rise, Mark said, standing slightly. We must push beyond quotas and spreadsheets. We must become more. The room stared. Someone coughed. His manager blinked twice and said, Okay, so neutral on the metrics. Got it. Mark sat down, sweating. The spark inside him hummed louder. He must hold it in. He must, for he cannot let it out. Not here. Not in front of his boss. Act 4. The Explosion. By Friday, Mark was a mess. He'd been accidentally dancing around corners, responding to emails with too many exclamation points, singing good morning to coworkers who did not deserve that level of enthusiasm. Now, he sat at his desk, answering calls, typing reports, trying desperately to be normal. But his stomach churned, his forehead glistened, his whole body vibrated like a soda can someone shook too hard. The spark, the cabaret, the thing he'd been holding in all week, was about to burst. And then it happened. From the break room radio, faint but unmistakable, came a cabaret-style tune. Mark stood up, and he sang, loud, powerful, ridiculous. Lyrics poured out of him like he'd been rehearsing for years. He danced across the office, hopping from cubicle to cubicle, belting his heart out. And the wildest thing, people joined in. Carol harmonized, Sarah did jazz hands, even the intern did a high kick that violated at least three OSHA guidelines. It was a full-blown office musical. Mark had never felt so alive. Act 5. Reality. The song ended with a flourish. Mark struck a final pose on top of Karen's desk. Just then, his boss stepped out of his office. Hey, Mark. Great stuff. Really. Would love a ticket to the next show. But for now, it's Friday. Time to wrap up. Oh, and please stop dancing on Karen's desk. I can't take another Karen complaint. Mark blinked, looked around. No one was singing. No one was dancing. Everyone was staring at him like he'd just recited Shakespeare in a Taco Bell. The spark had taken over. He'd lost himself in front of everyone. His face turned the color of expired yogurt. But then, Sarah smiled at him. A small, knowing smile. And Mark realized something. He didn't regret it. Not one note. Sometimes you have to trust your toots. Your tiny, odd, embarrassing sparks, before they build up so much pressure they explode into a full-blown shart in the middle of your office. Better let the spark out early. Better to be cringed than constipated with creativity. So, thank you for joining me this week for this silly little toot of a tale. I'm going to take a week off to rest, but don't worry. I'll be back with a brand new spark on Sunday, May 17th. And if you have a spark of your own, story idea, don't forget to leave it down in the comments. And as always, stay creative, stay curious, and always trust your toots.